안녕하세요. Hello K-friends, hope you are doing very well. I recently watched an interesting cooking show on Netflix where a culinary class tours made many kinds of dishes. Among them, the one that really caught on my attention was non-spicy bibimbap. It reminded me of my childhood because my mom used to make this dish during holidays. And it brought back those memories, making me want to have it again. Shall we make this special bibimbap together? Place 3 large pieces of rinsed kelp in plenty of water. We will be using it in today's cooking. If you have green onions, we will only use the white part. Cut the green onion in half, then cut it in half again and slice it thin. We will use it later. 도라지 나물, stir-fried wellflower root. Today, I'll be using dried wellflower root from a Korean market. Prepare about 2 ounces. Place it in a bowl with 1 tablespoon of salt and pour warm water over it. Soaking in salt water removes the bitterness, making the doraji taste better. Let it soak for about 10 hours. This is the bellflower root that I soaked in water last night. After soaking, tear the doraji into thin strips for a better texture. Next, drain the water and rub the doraji with 1 tablespoon of salt. This makes it softer and less bitter. Rinse it with cold water and drain. Put the prepared doraji in a pan. Add 2/3 tablespoon of tuna fish sauce or a bit of salt if you don't have it. Half tablespoon of sesame oil, half tablespoon of cooking oil, 1 tablespoon of chopped green onion, and 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. Mix everything well. Mixing the seasoning first helps the flavors absorb evenly when stir-frying. Stir-fry the doraji over medium-low heat. If it gets dry while cooking, add a little bit of kelp water to keep it moist and flavorful. Finally, cover and cook for 2 minutes. After that, add 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds, then mix well. Soft and delicious 도라지 나물 is done. 고사리 나물, stir-fried firm break. Today, I will be using dried firm break, which you can easily find at Korean markets. Place the dried gosari in a bowl and cover it with warm water. Let it soak for about 10 hours. Soaking slowly helps the gosari become tender and lose its bitterness. Change the water once or twice during soaking to reduce the strong smell of dried vegetables. This is the gosari that I soaked in water last night. After soaking, drain the water and boil the gosari in fresh water for about 20 minutes. The boiling and soaking time may vary depending on the thickness of the gosari, so check if it's tender enough. After boiling, rinse the gosari in cold water and drain. If you find any tough ends, trim them off. And cut the gosari into bite-sized pieces. In the same pan, you use for stir-frying bellflower roots. Add the gosari. Add 1 tablespoon of perilla oil or sesame oil if you don't have a perilla oil. Perilla oil adds a nutty depth to the dish, though sesame oil works well too. Add a half tablespoon of cooking oil, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce for soup, 국간장, or regular soy sauce if unavailable. 1 tablespoon of chopped green onion. Mix everything well so the seasoning is evenly absorbed. Turn on the heat to medium-low and stir-fry the gosari gently. If the gosari starts to dry out while cooking, add a little kelp water to keep it moist and flavorful. Continue stir-frying until most of the moisture has evaporated. Then add 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds and mix well to finish the dish. Very delicious and savory stir-fried gosari is done. 무나물, stir-fried radish. I will be using half of a small radish. To safely slice the radish, cut a small piece off one side to create a flat surface. Place the flat side down and it will be much more stable for slicing. Slice the radish thinly. Once sliced, arrange the pieces neatly and cut them into thin strips. In a preheated pan, add a sliced radish and half teaspoon of salt. Stir fry without oil. The radish will release moisture on its own, making the dish light and flavorful without needing oil. Add a little kelp water and cover the pan. Let it cook over medium-low heat for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, when the radish is tender, add 1 tablespoon of perilla oil and mix well. No perilla oil, you can use sesame oil. Also, add 1 tablespoon of freshly ground sesame seeds and 1 tablespoon of chopped green onions. Then stir everything together. Light and delicious radish 나물 is done. 호박볶음. Stir-fried zucchini. Cut the zucchini into thin slices. Today I'll be adding chopped clam meat to enhance the savory flavor. In a pan, add 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, then add 2 tablespoons of chopped clam meat and stir fry over medium heat. Once the clam meat is cooked, add the sliced zucchini. 1 tablespoon of chopped green onions and 1 tablespoon of tuna fish sauce and 1 teaspoon of garlic. Stir fry over medium-high heat for 2 to 3 minutes. To keep the zucchini's texture firm, avoid overcooking and stir fry for a shorter time. After 2 to 3 minutes, add 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds and mix well. Very flavorful and savory stir-fried zucchini is done. 미역나물, stir-fried seaweed. This is dried seaweed. It will expand a lot when soaked in water. Soak about 1 ounce of dried seaweed in cold water for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, drain the soaked seaweed and rinse it twice in clean water, gently squeezing out the excess water. Cut the seaweed into smaller pieces with a knife. In a pan, add 1 tablespoon of sesame oil and add 2 tablespoons of minced clam meat, 1 tablespoon of tuna fish sauce, 1 tablespoon of chopped green onions, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, and 1 tablespoon of cooking wine. Mix everything well. Then add the chopped seaweed and stir fry over medium heat for about 3 minutes. Delicious and nutritious 미역나물 is done. 콩나물 무침, seasoned soybean sprouts. Add the washed soybean sprouts to boiling water and cook for another 3 minutes with the lid off. Keeping the lid off while cooking helps eliminate the raw smell of the soybean sprouts. After 3 minutes, drain the cooked soybean sprouts and immediately transfer them to cold water to cool. Soaking them in cold water makes the soybean sprouts crunchier. Once cooled, drain the soybean sprouts in a strainer to remove excess water. Place the drained soybean sprouts in a bowl and add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of chopped green onion, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, and 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds. Mix everything well. The soybean sprouts may release some water later, so it's best to season them a bit more strongly at the beginning. Taste and adjust the seasoning with salt if needed. A simple yet delicious 콩나물 무침 is done. 시금치나물. Seasoned spinach. First, add a half tablespoon of salt to boiling water. Adding salt helps the spinach keeps its vibrant color and enhances the flavor. When blanching, start by dipping the root end of the spinach into the water first and blanch for only 1 to 2 minutes. Be careful not to overcook as it can affect the texture. After blanching, remove the spinach and place it in cold water to cool it down. This helps maintain the color and texture. Rinse it twice in cold water and gently squeeze out the excess water. Don't squeeze the spinach too hard as it can lose flavor. Cut the squeezed spinach into bite-sized pieces. Shake the spinach gently to loosen it before adding seasoning. This allows the seasoning to be absorbed more evenly. Add 1 tablespoon of tuna fish sauce. Use half tablespoon if you have less spinach. 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, and 1 tablespoon of chopped green onions. Mix everything well. Very delicious and nutritious spinach namu is done. All 7 seasoned side dishes are finally ready. They taste great mixed with rice, but I also make a special soup to go with them. Be sure to stay until the end. Tangkuk seafood soup. Cut the radish into 3 pieces and then slice it thinly. Be careful not to slice the radish too thick, as it will take longer to cook. Cut the half block of tofu in half and then into appropriately sized pieces. Use small shrimp as they are. Cut larger shrimp into 2 to 3 pieces. If you have octopus, add a bit of it. This is optional. And cut half a squid into bite-sized pieces. In Korea, fresh seafood is easy to find, but in the US, you will typically find it in the frozen section of Korean markets. Also, thinly sliced beef. You can add mussels or clam meat based on your preference. Now that all the ingredients for the soup are ready, pour 8 cups of kelp water into a pot. Add a half tablespoon of salt and then add all the prepared ingredients except the tofu. Add a tofu later when the soup starts to boil. Start cooking from cold water to bring out the full flavor of the seafood, which enhances the broth. To reduce any fish smell, add 2 tablespoons of cooking wine. As the soup boils, skim off any foam that rises to the surface to keep the broth clear. Add the tofu. Add 2 tablespoons of tuna fish sauce. If needed, adjust the seasoning with a bit of salt. Very refreshing and flavorful seafood soup is done. How to eat. Place a small amount of warm rice on top of the seasoned vegetables. Adding a little seafood soup on the side will make the bibimbap slightly moist and even more delicious. While using a spoon works well, if you want to fully appreciate the texture of the fluffy rice grains, gently mix everything with chopsticks for the best experience. Once you take a bite, and the deep, rich flavors will fill your mouth, truly satisfying. It's awesome. How was today's video? This healthy and delicious non-spice bibimbap can be made of your favorite ingredients. Hope you give it a try. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I will see you next time. 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요. Bye bye.